Hi guys and welcome back to the Mighty Blues. My name is of course Cameron and welcome back today to another live stream. It is the live game review. Everton 1, Manchester United 0 at Goodison Park on Saturday afternoon. My voice and my chest still hasn't quite recovered from Saturday afternoon. I'm not too sure whether I've managed to pick myself up some form of chest infection with all of the screaming and shouting that I did on Saturday, because that was such an important victory, wasn't it? It was the bounce back that we needed, it was the reaction that we needed, and it was quite the weekend for us Evertonians, wasn't it? Not often have we said this season that, you know, the weekend as a whole has been positive in regards to results, not only Everton's results, but obviously Burnley losing to Norwich on Sunday was an absolutely fantastic result for Everton. I know Leeds managed to win, which wasn't great, but the Burnley result, in specific, was one that I think a lot of Evertonians were extremely happy to see on Sunday afternoon, and it made the win against Manchester United just seem all that much better, didn't it? You know, we knew we needed to get all 3 points on Saturday. I was a little bit sort of not shy with you know, the way I was going about it in the preview, but I didn't want to be as pressured as saying that one was such an important must-win game. But let's be honest, given the results against Burnley last Wednesday, Saturday really needed to be a win. Nothing less than a win was going to be acceptable, as you know, especially considering we're looking at these home games, you know, as the games that are likely going to be the ones where we pick up the most points in. I'm still not 100% convinced that we'll do anything of note away from home between now and the end of the season, but I am convinced that we will pick up enough points at home that should see us, survive, because again, we saw on Saturday just what the Goodison atmosphere can bring and just how these players can react and can perform at Goodison Park. And it is a little bit frustrating because you look at, you know, away games and you think, you know, your professional footballers earning ridiculous amounts of money per week, and you should be able to turn in a performance similar to the one you turn in at Goodison Park away from home as well. But as I said, for me, it was just absolutely imperative on Saturday afternoon that we showed the reaction. We were coming up against the good Manchester United team. I know, you know, there's a lot in the media at the moment, and the general sort of, I suppose, narrative around Manchester United at the minute is that they're not very good and that they've not got a lot of great players and that there's a lot of fallout at the football club, new manager looming, this, that and the other. And I get all of that, you know, and as I said on Saturday in the instant match reaction, and I'll say it again here, they weren't very good on Saturday. I don't think they're a top four challenging team. It baffles me how they're challenging for top four, and it just reminds me of how bad this league actually is, other than, you know, a couple of teams at the top of it. But you know, just because they're maybe not good enough or shouldn't be good enough to be challenging for top four doesn't mean that they're still not a good footballing team. They are. They've got, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo, okay, wasn't particularly great on Saturday and was kept at bay by Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey, which again is a sentence that I've said a couple of times over the last 48 hours, and a sentence that if you'd have asked me on Friday would I be saying, I'd have probably laughed in your face. But he still is Cristiano Ronaldo, and going into this game, we knew that, you know, he still is one of the greatest footballers ever to have played and capable of hitting any team and single-handedly winning any game of football. You know, they still had Bruno Fernandes, they still had you know, that some real quality in there. Marcus Rashford obviously started the game. Paul Pogba coming on for Fred, you know, quite reasonably early on as well. So they still had, you know, a group of players out there that you would look at, and on paper we'd have looked at prior to Saturday thinking this is going to be a really, really difficult fixture. And because of the determination, the grit, the desire, the effort, the energy, the intensity of that Everton performance, you know, Manchester United just couldn't come anywhere near us. And it was always going to be the case on Saturday that regardless of which Manchester United turned up, Everton had to turn up, and we had to see the very, very best of this Everton team. Every single player had to be at, you know, 100%. Every single player had to be willing to sacrifice and give everything. You know, for that blue shirt, and if they were willing to do that, then we could very well come up against the Manchester United team that weren't willing to offer that themselves and weren't willing to match that, and therefore it was a game that we could have certainly won. But we, first and foremost, needed that Everton performance. We needed that reaction. We needed that intensity. We needed Vitaly Mikhailenko to have the game of his life. And for me, I thought he was absolutely exceptional. You read his stats after the game and they're just absolutely unbelievable. We'll go through some of them a little bit later on. It was just, without a shadow of a doubt, his best game in an Everton shirt, arguably his best performance I've witnessed, even prior to joining Everton. He was exceptional. You seen his reaction after the game. The lad's been here a matter of months. He's got so many other things going on in his mind at the moment, not just what's going on in the world, but also, he's in a new country, it's a new culture, it's a new way of living, it's a new language, all of these things that he's got to compete with at such a young age, and yet he still is willing to put that performance in on Saturday and show how much that meant to him, on the final whistle. Alex Iwobi, who has been somebody that throughout his Everton career has been heavily criticised for his lack of effort. Listen, we're not going to get into the Alex Iwobi, is he good enough, isn't he good enough technical conversation, because, again, still over the last couple of weeks or so, Alex Iwobi's made a couple of mistakes that you're sort of rubbing your hands in your head in your hands for. The game against Burnley was an example of that. But one thing I don't think any of us can sit here and criticise Alex Iwobi for, certainly since Frank Lampard has come into the football club, which is a massive positive because it shows Frank Lampard is getting the absolute very best out of him, is his effort. And on Saturday, he ran more than any player on that pitch. Everton ran 10 kilometres more than Manchester United did, and Alex Iwobi ran more than any player on that pitch. His off-the-ball work on Saturday was better than anybody's on the pitch, whether they be in an Everton shirt or a Manchester United shirt. And on the ball, he done well. Okay, didn't have an awful lot to do. Couple of really nice passes in between. Couple of nice movements. Couple of nice, runs with the ball, picking the ball up, using his quick feet and his dribbling ability to get himself out of tight situations, which we know he's got and always has had. But again, as I said, I think his biggest criticism since joining Everton has probably been, his lack of desire, his lack of effort, his lack of intensity. Whereas since Frank Lampard has come into the football club, I really think that's the last thing you can criticise with Alex Iwobi. Even in the games where he might have made mistakes or he mightn't necessarily have been, at the top of his game, he's still given everything. And as I said, on Saturday, he never stopped running. There was a moment where he ran from left wing, I think, or right wing, all the way to left back position to block, a ball coming into the box, or to be part of a defensive line that stopped a Manchester United counter-attack. And as I said, off the ball, even when he was nowhere near the ball, he was running, he was making up the space, he worked harder than anybody else on that pitch. He's earned a lot of people's man of the matches for doing that. And, speaking to an Everton fan coming out the ground after the game, and he said that, that's all we want, isn't it? That's all we really want. We'd love to have top quality world-class footballers that can turn up and, without even really thinking twice about it, score worldies, Haller, James Rodriguez last season, etc, etc. But really, the roots of Everton Football Club, the core of this football club, and what we love and what we want to see as a fan base and what we crave at this club is players that, regardless of what your ability is, regardless of whether you're the best footballer on the planet or whether you're just another average Joe who can kick a ball with both feet, the absolute minimum you need to give is 150%. And if you're a world-class footballer with all the talent in the world, but you're not giving it 150%, you're not going to be received well at this football club. And vice versa, if you're not very talented, you're not giving it 100%, you're not going to be received very well at this football club. But if you're giving everything, you will be received well, regardless of how talented you are or are not. And I think that's really started to drill into Alex Iwobi, because what we're seeing now is, even in the games where he mightn't necessarily be involved as much as he would like to be, his effort, his desire, his work rate, his off the ball running and desire and commitment, it was absolutely fantastic. Richarlison, Anthony Gordon, pair of them never stopped running all day, never stopped working hard, throwing their bodies in the way, battling. Alan in that midfield, Fabian Delph was absolutely fantastic. Seamus Coleman was brilliant. Jordan Pickford, when you watch the highlights, which of course, certain television companies have made the highlights out to look like Manchester United were absolutely all over us, and they did have a number of opportunities that, could have gone a different way on another day. But I think Everton also had a couple of opportunities that could have gone another way and may have made a difference to the result. But Jordan Pickford, as I said, again, it's another game of football where Jordan Pickford has effectively won us it. I know Anthony Gordon's goal was the goal that ended up winning us the game, and I know the effort and the desire pulled us through as well. But if we're looking at it at a very base level of football, and in how many opportunities Manchester United had versus how many opportunities Everton had, and this, that and the other, and saves made, Jordan Pickford has won us another game of football. And you know what? I'm absolutely sick to the back teeth and sick to death of non-Evertonians, whether it be people in the media, whether it be just football fans, whether it be people you see in the street, having this pre-made narrative or belief that Jordan Pickford isn't a very good goalkeeper. Could he be better? Absolutely. Is there certain things he does that he could improve on? Yes, of course there is. But this preconception that Jordan Pickford isn't a great goalkeeper is absolutely beyond me. I can't even begin to count on both hands how many games Jordan Pickford has single-handedly won Everton this season through game-winning saves, through saves that, had he have been playing for one of the top clubs, could be, potential league-winning save, cup-winning saves. They're that good, and they're that important at those times in the game. He did it again on Saturday. There was one he made from Marcus Rashford, which is exceptional, but the one that sticks out is the one from Cristiano Ronaldo with seconds to go. Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the, as I said, best footballers of all time, some would argue the greatest footballer of all time, is standing about 15 yards away from him, fires the ball on the volley, and Jordan manages to get his arm up and move it away. That's a save that if it was made by Aaron Ramsdale, it'd be in the back pages of the fucking paper still today. If it was made by Alisson or Ederson, they wouldn't be stopping talking about it. In fact, they'd be sitting there talking about it now on the build up to the Champions League games tonight, because it's Jordan Pickford. It's just overlooked. And you know what? Do you know why it's overlooked by Evertonians as well? Because he does that every week. He makes those saves every week. He wins us games of football with big saves like that every week. So it's just a norm now with Jordan Pickford. And do you know, next time we're in an international break, do you know if I see one football fan, England fan or fan of any other country going, oh, this is Jordan Pickford for England and it's some brilliant picture, and this is Jordan Pickford for Everton and it's a smashed up Ford Fiesta or something, to try and insinuate that he's not very good for his club but he's great for his country, you can swivel on it, because he's absolutely fantastic for his club as well, and he's without a shadow of a doubt England's number one. He is head and shoulders better than any other goalkeeper from this country, as Frank Lampard quite rightly said. He was absolutely phenomenal on Saturday, absolutely phenomenal, and he has been phenomenal for months and months and months. But everybody worked hard, everybody put their effort in, everybody put their desire in, everybody wanted it more than those Manchester United players did. And as I said, we showed that reaction that we so desperately needed to show after what was a potential season-defining game on Wednesday against Burnley. Listen, I sat here on Thursday and Wednesday night after the Burnley game, and I said that game will be a catalyst. That game will either be the game that we look back on at the end of the season and say that was the one that we all deep down knew that we were getting relegated, and here we are relegated, and it was that game that made the difference, or that will be the game, and hopefully it's the latter, that will be the game that we all sit here and look back on and go, that was the one that woke everybody up. That was the one that, the players and the manager and everybody sort of just woke up and thought, actually, do you know what? We could be in dangerous show. We are in dangerous shit here. And we bounced back with what was a fabulous result against Manchester United. If I'm being honest, I wasn't surprised at the result on Saturday. I wasn't. As much as a massive part of me thought, yeah, we're going to get absolutely battered here because these have just got too much quality and we're not very good at the moment, and the base of their team versus our team. There was also a part of me that, again, walking to the game, I can't remember whether I said it to Matty or somebody else, I think I said something along the lines of, don't be surprised if we win this game of football today. Because A, we've got an unbelievable record against Manchester United at Goodison Park in April. We've got a pretty good record against them anyway, but go and look at Everton's last, however many, 4 or 5 fixtures against Manchester United at Goodison Park in games that have taken place during the month of April. And I don't think we've lost one. In fact, I don't think we've even drawn one. We've won every one of them. But also B, it just, again, it had this feel of us winning. Ray says you predicted the win, mate. It just had this feel of the players needing to react. And we saw it when Frank Lampard first come in against Brentford. We saw it against Leeds. We needed to show a reaction. We did. We saw it against Newcastle. We needed to show a reaction from the previous result. We did. And all as I can hope now and really, really hope is, our next game's at Goodison. It's a week tomorrow, a week on Wednesday against Leicester. That needs to be the same performance. We can't let happen what happened after Leeds and what happened after Newcastle, where we win a really, really important game and we're looking at it thinking, right, that could be the game that, gives us that bit of confidence and momentum to go on now and, pick up a couple of wins on the bounce and then, and then get out of the situation that we're in. We need to be able to do that. We can't be sitting here, a week tomorrow saying, oh, we've lost another game to Leicester and we're back where we were, previous to the Manchester United result. We need to take advantage of it now. We need to take the confidence and hopefully the rest, between now and the Leicester game will do us good. The reports on social media, whether they're to be believed or not, is a different question. But the reports on social media, the suggestion that Yerry Mina is penciled in to start the game against Leicester and he'll be back to fitness, which is an absolutely unbelievable piece of information and news if true. It gives Fabian Delph another couple of weeks to recover. He was fantastic. Obviously Anthony Gordon, Richarlison, players like that time to rest and recover and hopefully get themselves back to full fitness and go again on Wednesday, because next Wednesday has got to be like Saturday was. Next Wednesday has got to be like Newcastle was. We've got to perform better than we did against Newcastle because we weren't very good and Leicester are a decent team who are unreasonably good form at the moment. But it's got to be a must win and we've got to make it absolutely petrifying for Leicester City, and if we do, I think we can come away with 3 points in that game. And ultimately you've got Burnley going into their fixtures off the back of a defeat to Norwich, which will have absolutely took the wind out of their sails. And if they lose again or drop points again and we manage to pick up all 3 against Leicester, then all of a sudden we're an extra 3 points away. It's really, really frustrating. I don't want to dwell on what could have been or coulda, woulda, shoulda, but had we have gotten the 3 points against Burnley, we'd be 10 points above the relegation zone now. Burnley lost at the weekend, so they wouldn't have gained anything, and we'd be in a position where I think a lot of Blues would go, okay, couple of more wins and we're okay, yeah, and the confidence would be flowing. But because of the Burnley result, we're very much where we were pre the game against Burnley, but Burnley losing to Norwich was a massive benefit for us. And we can't have many more of these opportunities. We had one post Leeds, we didn't make the most of it. We had one post Newcastle, we didn't make the most of it. We've got one now post Manchester United, and we absolutely need to make the most of it. And what that is coming off the back of a massive win in a game that we absolutely needed to win, and Frank Lampard finding a way to keep that confidence and keep that momentum and go and produce the same in the next game. And maybe this is the first time in those situations, as I said, post Leeds and post Newcastle, we were away from home in the following game. So this is the first time we've actually had 2 consecutive home games in a row, albeit with a break in between. But maybe with the Leicester game being at Goodison Park, that will that will give us that confidence to be able to go on and do that. And then once you've got 2 wins on the bounce, 2 consecutive wins, then then things are looking a lot better for us. We've then got Liverpool on the Sunday in the derby away from home, of course, so that'll be an extremely difficult game. But if you can get 3 points out of Leicester and all of a sudden you're going into the derby off the back of 6 points and again hoping Burnley drop more points, lose their games or their game, whatever, then then the derby, ultimately, if you can just sit 11 men behind the ball and get something out of it, would be a positive. But again, the Leicester game is a must 3 points. But we're not here to talk about Leicester yet. We're here to talk about the Manchester United game and what, as I said, was an absolutely massive day for Everton Football Club. Frank obviously, released his team news at 11:30 on Saturday morning, the game being at 12:30. We found out Jordan Pickford was in the team. Frank Lampard went with a back line of Vitaly Mikhailenko at left back, Seamus Coleman at right back, with Ben Godfrey and Michael Keane as the centre backs. Mason Holgate dropping out, and quite rightly so, to be honest with you. A midfield 3 of Alan Delph and Alex Iwobi, with Anthony Gordon, Richarlison and Dominic Calvert-Lewin starting up front. And do you know what? I had no problem with the team whatsoever. I had absolutely no problem with the team whatsoever. We knew Donny van der Beek was obviously unavailable to play because of the his loan from Manchester United. We knew that we knew obviously that Yerry Mina was out injured. We knew that Nathan Patterson was out injured as well. I was just happy to see Seamus Coleman in there over John Joe Kenny, because as I said, in the preview, as much as I don't think Seamus Coleman should be starting games of football for Everton, I do think he is 433,000 times the player that John Joe Kenny is. And I was absolutely made up to see Fabian Delph and Alan in there, because I think that was the right decision to make. I think Alan on his own as the sitter, the holder, can sometimes struggle, especially when Abdoulaye Doucouré isn't in the team. Abdoulaye Doucouré obviously was on the bench. I think, Frank Lampard is just trying to manage him, I suppose, at the moment. And as I said, I had a good feeling about Fabian Delph and Alan being in there together. I really did. Although there's not much pace in that midfield, we really were reliant on Alex Iwobi turning up and playing his absolute arse off, and he did. And as I said, I can't really sit here and fault any of the players, if I'm being perfectly honest. I can't. And listen, I know I'm going to get comments, and we'll get live comments, and we'll get comments in the YouTube about, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, because I think Dom was the only one on my player range that I didn't give a particularly high score for. Listen, let's have it right. He wasn't very good. He wasn't very involved on Saturday. I don't particularly think it's through a lack of effort. There's a bit of a narrative at the moment surrounding Dominic Calvert-Lewin that he doesn't want to be here, he wants to leave, he's not interested, and all of these things are accumulating to his performances not being very good. I don't think it's that whatsoever. I just think I personally, and I may be wrong, and this isn't coming from any knowledge or any, sort of insider information or anything like that. This is just coming from me sort of brainstorming reasons as to why he might be in form at the moment. I think he's probably still struggling a little bit with his injury. He did release a statement or a post on Instagram regarding his performance on Saturday and the situation at the moment. I'll read it out to you now. I can't read it out to you because I'm not logged into Instagram on there. I'll read it out to you on my phone instead, because the computer is being an idiot. So he went to Instagram after the game to say, "This club has shaped me into the man I am today. People can choose to believe what they read. That's out of my control. But what is in my control is how I conduct myself on the pitch. I've always given 100% and will continue to do so. It is not in my character to give anything less. Actions speak louder than words, I know, and you judge me on goals which will come. Sometimes as a player you go through difficult spells, and that is part and parcel. I am here to win, and I am here to fight to the very end." Massive 3 points for us today. So I believe that, and I know you can say, but it's just, he's just trying to, give his brand a good look, and he's not going to come out and say, yeah, I'm not interested, I want to leave this, that, and the other. I get all of that, but I do believe Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I do genuinely just think he's going through a bit of a tough time at the moment. I think he was probably rushed in a little bit too quickly from his return from injury. We saw that because he picked up another injury, and then obviously was out for another extended spell. I just think he's still probably struggling a little bit, struggling for match fitness, struggling for match sharpness, and there's obviously a lot of pressure on him. He's not just coming back into a team, after a long injury, without that match fitness, without that match sharpness, into a team that are sitting mid-table and have got goal scorers galore left, right and centre, and there's not really much pressure on him. He's coming into a team that are in a relegation battle, and he can't really afford to have games where he's not at 100% or he's not at that sharpness level that he needs to be. So again, some people will choose to not believe him. I believe him. I think it's just a case of he's not quite there yet. Now, whether or not he leaves in the summer is a completely different question and a completely different situation and scenario that we're not going to go into. But, as I said, I think his performance on Saturday wasn't through a lack of effort or through a lack of care, or I just think he's probably struggling a little bit at the moment, which most players will do in that situation as well. But, as I said, everybody on that pitch in a blue shirt contributed to what was a massively important win. Played their heart out. Seamus Coleman was fantastic. The goal reminded me very, very much of the goal against Newcastle, and not in the sense of that it was a similar goal, but in the sense of that we didn't have the ball in the midfield when the counter-attack started, but we won the ball back through battle, through determination, through wanting it more than Manchester United did. We won it back. We got it to Richarlison, who I originally thought was offside. He wasn't. He cuts it across towards Iwobi. I don't think Iwobi passes it to Gordon. It sort of just deflects off the defender. Gordon takes it in his stride, takes a strike. It deflects off of Lindelof or Maguire, whoever it is, and it goes into the back of the net. But, as I said, I think it was, you could see from the opening 5-10 minutes that the effort was there, the desire was there, and yes, Manchester United were getting in behind us, and I think that was one thing that I think I was a bit critical of in that opening 15 minutes, was that you could see we were working. You could see that there was a reaction, there was a bounce back, that the players weren't dropping their heads, they weren't scared, they were trying to move the ball, they were trying to find space, they were working hard, but in doing that, we were a little bit shaky, I feel, in that opening 15-20 minutes of allowing Manchester United space. We allowed them time, to get in and behind us. Marcus Rashford had a shot which was really well saved by Jordan Pickford, considering he was blindsided. They had a couple of corners that we scraped out to defend, and they were always going to be a threat because of the quality that they had in their forward line. If, as I keep saying, whether they're in good form or not, whether they're whether they're in a good situation financially, whether their fans like their owners or whatever, they're still Manchester United. They've still got players that are capable of absolutely walking all over a lot of teams in world football, certainly teams towards the bottom of the Premier League. So, and again, Anthony says, all right, can't make a great win at the weekend, but calm down. I'm not getting too excited because, as I've said, and I said this walking out the game, I had a real sort of strange feeling walking out the game. I was so happy, but I was also very sort of, right, we've got to go and do that against Leicester now. If we beat Leicester next week, then I'll be much, much happier than I was beating Manchester United, because A, it'll be 2 wins on the bounce, and B, it will be a proof that we've actually taken some momentum and confidence and a bit of flow from the Manchester United game, and we've implemented it, and we've managed to get 2 wins on the bounce, and it would be a sign of a potential good run of form, which we haven't seen at any point this season. Whereas the 1 win against Man United, as buzzing as I was, and as much as we needed it, and as excited as I was, I'm still very much under the illusion, under the awareness that this doesn't mean that we're out of this situation. It doesn't mean that everything's fine and everything's okay. It just means that we picked up we've basically made right what we made wrong on Wednesday against Burnley. In that sense, is that we've not saved ourselves per se, but we've almost sort of caught back up. So we dropped the game on Wednesday against Burnley. We beat Man United and Burnley lost. So it's almost like, right, okay, we're back there now. And when we were there, we were in a shit situation anyway. So we're still in a shit situation, but we're just not in as bad a situation as we were on Thursday morning. But, as I said, we started the game. I thought that the desire was there, not through lack of effort. I seen a couple of people when we scored on social media and stuff saying, it was against the run of play. That was against the run of play. I don't particularly think it was against the run of play. Yes, they got in behind a couple of times. They had a couple of, opportunities and shots in which Jordan Pickford made good saves, and I think the defence dealt with. But it wasn't like they were completely all over us. We were still moving the ball forward. We were putting them under pressure. I think one thing we saw in that opening 15-20 minutes prior to Anthony Gordon's goal was the as I said, the Manchester United players not being able to deal with that pressure. There was a couple of arguments amongst themselves. They were throwing a couple of really rash challenges in, and you could see that they were getting frustrated when players like Alex Iwobi, Richarlison and Anthony Gordon were chasing them down, and they were making mistakes. They were kicking the ball out, and that is something that really frustrates me as an Evertonian, is because we do that often in games, but we don't do it enough. So we'll press teams, and teams will make mistakes, i.e. we'll press a back line and one of the defenders will kick the ball out for a throw-in or give it away to one of our attackers and allow us to cause a counter-attack. And then we won't constantly do that. We don't look and go, right, these shit themselves under pressure here. These absolutely shit themselves when you put a bit of pressure on them. And I understand people would say, yeah, but players can't do that for 90 minutes and this, that and the other. But really, really top-level professionals can. That's what Man City do. That's what Liverpool do. That's what the best teams in the world do. They non-stop press for 90-plus minutes. And most teams can't deal with that. And yes, it helps having fantastic world-class players. But most teams in this league, I feel, if you're constantly on the toes of their players when they've got the ball and you're putting pressure on them, they'll panic. Most players will panic because it's a natural human reaction to panic, because you're thinking, shit, I've got a lot less time to deal with this than I thought I had, so I'm going to make a quick decision. And in making a quick decision, players like Harry Maguire and various other defenders in this league will make a rash decision and will either kick the ball out or give it to one of our players. And as I said, it frustrates me because I don't see Everton do it enough. I see Everton do it once or twice in games. We get something positive out of it, and then we don't do it again. We sort of just allow them all the time, all the space, all the effort on the ball, instead of just constantly doing that press and putting that to them. But we did that on Saturday, you know, and as I said, we saw that in the opening 10-15 minutes where we were putting that pressure on their defenders, we were putting that pressure on their back line, and they didn't know how to deal with it. They were putting the ball out for throwing, they were giving it away. And, you know, as I said, I think that's what spurred on the likes of Alex Iwobi to just constantly do that from minute 1 to minute 90, because he knew, I can get something out of this. He knew I can be a benefiter if this happens. You know, some of the best teams in the world will just play through you. They'll just go bing, 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 and they'll be on the counter-attack because you've pressed too high. But the reality is that, you know, a lot of teams, including Manchester United, who've got a very ropey sort of, you know, defence at the moment, will make those mistakes and will panic, and that's what they did. And, you know, as I said, I think we started to see that a bit more. I think the players started to realise that as well, and that's where the goal come from. They were at the ball in the midfield, seemingly, you know, in a good position for them. We pressed them onto it. I think it's Coleman presses them onto it with Gordon. Gordon picks the ball up. He plays a lovely pass out to Richarlison. It's a bit ahead of Richarlison. Somebody gets to it, does really, really well with it, cuts it across. As I said, it sort of deflects off of Iwobi and the defender. Gordon gets it back, takes the shot, and it deflects in off the goalkeeper. And that's the goal that we so desperately needed. That's the goal that, you know, again, puts us 1-0 up. The goal that we so, as I said, desperately needed to just give us that little bit of a cushion and to turn that confidence into, right, okay, you know, not only are we confident of getting something out of the game now, but we've got a cushion. But we always knew that Man United were going to come back off that, because again, this was as big a game for Manchester United. I don't think that's being made off of enough in the media and stuff. Is not only was this a massive game for Everton in regards to the relegation battle and with the position that we're in, but this was a massive game for Manchester United as well. Massive game for Manchester United in the sense that, you know, they're fighting for top 4, and they got very lucky this weekend in the sense that West Ham lost and Arsenal lost as well. You know, all of those teams, other than Tottenham won, of course, but the other teams that are fighting in that fight lost. So United weren't massively affected in terms of the Premier League, other than Spurs. But it was a massive game for them. They needed to get something out of it, so they were always going to press. They were always going to, you know, give everything. But it was important that we not only matched that, but we beat that. We beat that effort. We beat that desire, and we just, you know, we brought out the stinking egotistical attitude of these Man United players that their fans have banged on about for months and months and months about being the problem. We needed to get that out of them. We needed them to get to the point where Cristiano Ronaldo was spitting his dummy and, you know, asking for handballs when the goalkeepers made a save because he doesn't know that goalkeepers can use their hands, or Bruno Fernandes having a go at the referee for nothing because he's spitting his dummy. That's what we needed to get out of that game, and I think the players done a really good job at doing that. But anyway, as I said, we score the goals. Yes, okay, they have a couple of other opportunities that Jordan Pickford deals with well, because that's what he does. And we get to half-time, and as I said, you know, I didn't feel like it was against the run of play. I didn't feel like they were particularly dominant. They might have had, more opportunities than we did. They might have had more shots on goal than we did. Richarlison had a shot just before half-time, which again deflected and loops over David De Gea, and he makes an absolutely fantastic save, which, you know, on another day would have gone in as well. So we could have easily gone in 2-0 up. We could have easily gone in 1-1. But we went in winning, you know, and as I said, you could see that effort, you could see that desire, and it was always going to be an absolutely massive second half of football, because it was a second half that we could not have afforded to let slip. We could not have afforded for us to, you know, get up, you know, for Manchester United to get back in the game, and they had a full 45 minutes to come back in it and ultimately put us to the sword, and because of the effort and the as I said, the commitment to these Everton players, we completely outfought them and outbattled them and out-desired them. We wanted it more than they did, and for Everton now, between now and the end of the season, it's imperative that we do that in every game. It's imperative that we want it more than every team we play against, not just Manchester United, you know, or the teams we play at home. It's imperative that we want it more than Leicester do in a week's time. It's imperative that we want it more than Watford do when we go away there. It's imperative that we want it more than Brentford do. It's imperative that we want it more than Liverpool do. Now, okay, Liverpool's a very different kettle of fish because they're a very, very good team and they're fighting for the league. But my point is it's important that we don't just want it more than the teams in the games that we absolutely need to win at home. We want it more than every team we play against. And we managed to get that stinking egotistical attitude out of those Manchester United players because they weren't up for the fight. They didn't want it as much as we did. You know, we can get that out of other teams as well. And as I said, you know, Iwobi in that first half never stopped running, never stopped working hard. Mikhailenko was solid, dealt with everything he needed to do. Seamus Coleman dealt with everything that he needed to. The defenders, as I said, other than little periods here and there of leaving too much space in behind, I think what we needed to do in that second half was stop that. Stop giving them opportunity. We give Ronaldo a couple of chances in the first half that you're sort of looking, scratching your head, thinking you don't need to give Cristiano Ronaldo shots on goal. He will make his own opportunities. He will make his own shots on goal. You don't need to do that. And we really, really, really cut that out in the second half. And again, that was what I was sort of most impressed with is, you know, I think I said in the instant match reaction, a lot of people have, you know, will have looked at, let's say, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey's performances, you know, on Saturday and would say, well, you know, they didn't do anything special. They weren't under a massive amount of pressure. Ronaldo wasn't particularly great. Marcus Rashford wasn't particularly great. But I'm sitting here saying they were fantastic because what we've come to expect from Everton centre-halves in recent weeks and months is them to make silly mistakes and allow teams to get back into games, them to make silly mistakes and gift opportunities to these attacking players, and we didn't do any of that. And whilst that might seem like the absolute very basics of defending and the very basics of football, we know that our back line not very often do the very basics and do them well, and that's what we did. Michael Keane didn't particularly have a game that you'd look at and go best defensive performance of all time, but he just done what he needed to do. He didn't panic. Every time he got the ball, he moved it well, he passed it well. In the air, he was good. His defensive positioning and you know, movement was good, as with Ben Godfrey, exactly the same. And that is a massive step forward because that's something that we haven't been able to say about these players. And we talk about confidence. And listen, we all know Michael Keane is a confidence player. We all know Ben Godfrey is a confidence player. And listen, if Yerry Mina's back and to start against Leicester, then this might be a different conversation for Frank Lampard. But let's just say, for argument's sake, Yerry Mina isn't deemed fit enough to start next Wednesday and it is going to be Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey. Then we can sit here all we like and talk about confidence and, you know, the lack of confidence in them. We know Michael Keane's a confidence player and we know that he's been, you know, not very confident recently to be nice, and same with Ben Godfrey. But if I'm Frank Lampard, I'm going into Finch Farm every single day saying, do you remember when you last played in an Everton shirt and you absolutely had Cristiano Ronaldo in your back pocket? If it was Mason Holgate, I wouldn't do it because I think he'd get a bit ahead of himself and a bit arrogant. But certainly with Michael Keane, I'd be saying to Michael Keane every single time I see him, remember when you absolutely pocketed arguably the greatest player of all time and you never give him anything. You never give him any time, you never give him any space, your movement was good, your passing was good. And if there's any show of Michael Keane losing his head or dropping his head a little bit or losing confidence, I'd be saying to him, hang on, keep your head up because you dealt with arguably the greatest footballer to have ever played the game and you dealt with him comfortably. You had him in your back pocket, you never give him anything, you defended really, really well against him. And some people might say, oh, that's just sucking up to him, that's just being silly, that's just, you know, giving him this one. But Michael Keane doesn't strike me as the type of player that will go over the top the other way. Michael Keane doesn't strike me as the type of player that will go over the top arrogance and will all of a sudden turn up thinking he's absolutely great. I don't think he's like that. But we've seen before in his Everton career, and listen, I'm saying this because whether he should be an Everton player or not is irrelevant at this point. He is an Everton player and he will likely play a big part in our remaining fixtures between now and the end of the season. So whether or not he leaves in the summer and should leave in the summer is a question we can have in the summer. But between now and then, I'd be saying to him, listen, you know, that should give you the most confidence. You've just dealt with Cristiano Ronaldo, and we know that, you know, when Michael Keane is confident, he can put in decent performances. We've all sat here before and praised Michael Keane for being excellent in games and being, you know, a stalwart in reasoning as to why we've won certain games in the past. I'm not saying he does it consistent enough to stay, and I'm not saying that he's all of a sudden the best player in the world, but what I would say is, if he's lacking and low in confidence, and I was Frank Lampard, I'd be saying, just go and watch how good you were against Cristiano Ronaldo. And if that can't give him confidence, then I don't know what can. Because if I'm a professional footballer and I'm a centre-half who's had a bit of a tough time and is struggling with confidence a little bit, and yet I've gone out and I've just put Cristiano Ronaldo in my back pocket, I'm looking at that thinking, actually, do you know what? I can be a bit more confident about my movements or my position, or I can be a bit more switched on in games of football. So, yeah, as I said, again, I don't think we were particularly overran or out quality. That's not even a word, out quality, do you know what I mean? Outperformed in that first half. I just think we took an opportunity. Yes, it was a heavy deflection, but I couldn't give a shit. And we dealt with Manchester United in the way that we did need to deal with them, but it was always going to be what happens in that second half. It was always going to be how we can come out in that second half and how ultimately we can shore the 3 points up and ensure that we don't let it, we don't let it go. If you are enjoying, by the way, please hit that like button. It only takes a second. 90 people watching. If you could get the likes up, that'd be amazing. We're also, I think, 11 subscribers away from 6,500. We were 8, but a couple of people obviously didn't like the instant match reaction, so I've unsubscribed. So we're only 11 subs away from 6.5k. So if you could hit that subscribe button, if you haven't already, it would mean an absolutely massive amount to me. If you're new to the channel, if you want to see a YouTube video, get your thoughts down below, and we'll get involved with as many of them as we possibly can as well. If you're watching live, get your thoughts live, and we will get involved in those now. Ray Max says, hi Cameron, what's happening, Ray? Hope you're doing well. We will survive, he says. I certainly hope so. Philip says, hi Cam, what's happening, Phil? Hope you're doing well, my mate. Same old Everton says, hello Cameron and I, my mate. Hope you're doing well. Forgotten Will the movie says, hi Cam, my word, we needed that. Ronaldo should be ashamed of himself having a stop like that too. Yeah, he's a 30-odd-year-old man who, I get he's a winner. I get he doesn't like losing. I get he's a leader in this, that and the other. But the reality is, you're a 38-year-old man, mate, and you've lost a game of footy. And you've smashed a young lad's phone out of his hand. And I know that he apologised. He didn't really apologise, did he? He just basically said, come and watch Man United play, which is probably more torture than getting the phone smashed out of your hand, to be fair, at the moment. Again, people will say, oh, it shows he's a winner, it shows he's this. I read something today saying that the lad's declined going in to meet him, which to be fair to the lad, is fair play. I'm sure the lad just wants a new phone and probably just wants to see the Blues winning every week, which is great. But for a young lad to decline an opportunity to see somebody that you probably will never get to see again, fair play to him. And listen, again, I read I think a post on Facebook from the lad's mum before, basically saying, why would we want to go and see him if it was a random fella on the street? We wouldn't go round for tea, so just because it's Cristiano Ronaldo, why would we? And that's absolutely fair enough as well, and I agree with what she's saying. From a Ronaldo point of view, I don't know, is he being fined? Is he... Well, you get away with it, won't he, because he's Cristiano Ronaldo, but he made himself look a bit of a tit, didn't he? Nice one, lad, says Avram. Nice one, my mate. Sababi says Messi is better. Peter says, even in Cam, I think we will be okay, but nothing surprises me with this lot. Let's hope so. Philip says, I can't go for now due to health problems. The noise was indelible. You'd have thought there were 60,000 Evertonians in the ground truly moving. It was great. It was great being there, and as I said, that roar, that noise, that I hope you're well, by the way, Phil. I'm really, really sorry to hear that. I hope you recover and you can get back on your feet soon and get back down to the ground. But no, you're right. The noise it was great. The atmosphere was great. It was booming. The weather was decent. It was National Day, so I think everybody was up for it. And ultimately, when Goodison is like that, and many pundits, many players, many managers have said it before, when Goodison is like that, a lot of teams will struggle to get results out of Everton when Goodison is like that, because the players react to Goodison being like that, and that's all well and good if they were 11 Evertonians who just turn up for a fight on a Saturday, or for a game of footy on a Saturday. But these are professional players in, and a lot of money. They should be able to put those performances in away from home as well. But you're absolutely right, mate. When Goodison's like that, teams will struggle, and Manchester United have struggled consistently when they come to Goodison. They haven't got a very good record at Goodison Park. I think they won a couple of times last season there at Goodison, but again, there was no fans in the stadium, so teams will struggle in that situation, and we've got to make it the same for Leicester next Wednesday. The skateful reaction from old man Ronaldo, with United trying to build their own, says Avram. listen, he got frustrated, and the lads basically said, "Do one, mate. Your apology and your invitation to go and watch Manchester United can piss off." Oh, I've just noticed that I've done the wrong thumbnail. Jamie says match review, not preview. I've set the wrong thumbnail up, which is my fault. I apologise. I will change that after the stream. So it's not a preview because the game's already been, so it wouldn't be much of a preview, would it? Eugene says Christian Eriksen incest. Is the incest them? Apparently Everton want to sign Napoli midfielder Fabio Ruiz. Avram says, yeah, but you can't be doing that to a kid at the ripe age of 72. Peter says, I would take those with a pinch of salt, Eugene. You know what rumours are like. Yeah, absolutely. Unsworth has left Everton Football Club. I'd like to wish David Unsworth the very, very best in his future endeavours. He's left to go and pursue his dream of being a first-team manager. If you were asking me how I feel on the situation, I think it's probably the right time. David Unsworth was doing multiple roles at Everton. He was the academy, he was the under-23s manager and the academy director, which effectively means he was his own boss, which just shows you the state of this football club, and how that is even allowed is beyond me. But listen, he's left. Wish him the best of luck. He's an Evertonian. He loves the football club, played for the football club, been here a long, long time. Managed the first team, of course, on a couple of interim spells. So wish him the best of luck. Hopefully he's a success wherever he goes, and maybe he will return to Everton one day in some capacity. We'll have to wait and see. We will have to wait and see. Put some likes in, folks, for Cam. Thank you very much. That was Peter. Thanks, Peter. Really appreciate that, my mate. Pickford saves Everton 3 points, says David. JP is easily top 5 in the Prem, says Louis. Philip says Jordan's probably the best keeper we've had, including Neville. I don't know whether I'd go that far. He's the best keeper I've ever seen as an Evertonian. But I never see Neville Southall, so, you know, that's my out. Just giving me thoughts on the Ronaldo situation. Eugene, you predicted the win, says Ray. Did. I'm still not convinced about Pickford, even though he played well. He always has a... I don't think he does. Can he improve his positioning in certain situations? Yes. Can he improve his commanding of his box? Probably yes, but I don't think we've seen a Jordan Pickford fuck up as per se for a long, long, long time now, whereas some other goalkeepers fuck up every week and are still lauded as some of the best in the league, which is baffling, i.e. Adam Ramsdale. Louis says, isn't the kid who got it by Ronaldo boss? Ronaldo was arrogant. I haven't seen him. And James says, seen a lot of fans taking shots at DCL's lack of effort. Do you think it's injuries and he's just struggling to get sharp, or his head maybe out the door looking elsewhere? I personally think it's injuries and he's struggling to get back to sharpness. But if we get to the end of the season and he leaves, then obviously the narrative will be that his head was elsewhere and that, you know, he wasn't interested in this, that and the other. But personally, I just don't think he's that type of player, to be honest with you. I just think he's, as I said, he's struggling to get to that match fitness. I think he's just struggling to get to that level that he needs to be at to be a goal scorer in a team fighting for relegation. Which isn't easy. And Noah says, big up Cam, I'm an Arsenal fan. When we played, we underestimated you. Thank you, mate. Big up to yourself. Yeah, listen, again, you know, the game against Arsenal was a prime example of the Goodison crowd and the players reacting to that atmosphere and the players reacting to that, you know, that noise and that, as I said, that atmosphere that is created at Goodison. And I think it was the same on Saturday. And as I said, we get into the second half, and you know, for me, the second half is all about game management. And game management is something that I've bemoaned for weeks and weeks and weeks now. And if you watch this channel, if you watch the instant match reactions, if you watch the previews, if you watch the reviews, if you watch any of our content, and there will be still content coming this week, by the way. I know we don't play till next Wednesday, but we're going to have a couple of other videos, other topics talking about, you know, various different situations and stuff over the next coming days. So look out for those. If you've got any suggestions of any videos you'd like to see or any topics you'd like to see me talk about, leave them in the live comments or the comments of if you're watching a YouTube video, and we'll have a look through them and maybe cover some of them. But something I've bemoaned massively recently is Everton's lack of game management and Everton's lack of ability to be able to see games out, i.e. being 2-1 up against Burnley, a team that, you know, in their previous 5 games hadn't managed to score. We're 99th in England in terms of creating chances and scoring goals, etc, etc, etc. And yet we couldn't manage the game. We were 2-1 up going into the second half, and we couldn't manage the game. We conceded twice. We lost the game. Again, previous games have been the same. Unable to just manage situations. Even Tottenham, I know we lost 5-0, but we were decent in the opening 10 or 15 minutes, and then we went 1-0 down, and all of a sudden we couldn't manage the game. Same with Palace the week after. So, game management is something that I've sat here and said, in a relegation battle, in the situation that Everton are in, we really, 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 really need to be able to to be able to survive this situation and to be able to pull through the other end of it. We can't be going 1-0 down and then giving up on games, and equally we can't be going 2-1 up against teams that are in the same relegation battle as we're in and then throwing those results. So I was really, really, really pleasantly surprised to see Everton actually manage that game of football really, really well on Saturday. And in that sense, what I mean is we were 1-0 up going into the second half. And as I said, in the first half, there was a couple of moments where we maybe allowed Manchester United a little bit too much space in between. We maybe allowed them a little bit too much room. We gifted them opportunities that realistically we shouldn't have been gifting them, especially given the quality that this Manchester United team have. And as I said before, players like Cristiano Ronaldo, Bruno Fernandes, etc., simply don't need opportunities gifted to them. They will create their own chances. And we needed to cut that out, and that for me was what the second half was about. The second half was about stopping, giving them space in between, stopping allowing them, to create chances comfortably and just manage the game well. Do everything you need to do defensively, do that in a solid manner. If we get any more opportunities going forward, try and make the most of them, be creative, work hard, battle, keep that press up, keep that fight, keep that desire. But as I said, more importantly, stay a strong defensive unit and don't allow them any opportunity to break you down. And if they do manage to get in behind, it was all about Jordan Pickford being able to deal with that. But Jordan Pickford should not have really been called into action much in that second half, because it was up to the centre halves and the back line, i.e. Vitaly, Mikhailenko and Seamus Coleman, to avoid crosses coming into the box and to avoid situations being created. And I think we done it really, really well. Did they have opportunities in that second half? Of course they did. They had a couple of corners that were a little bit ropey. I think I can't remember who it was, but somebody had a shot which Jordan Pickford got down to really, really well. I think it was Pogba had a shot from outside the box which Jordan Pickford got down to really, really well. And obviously they had the Ronaldo chance in the last 30 seconds in which Jordan saved perfectly as well. But with the exception of them, I think we cut out giving them space in between. I think we really, really nullified Cristiano Ronaldo. Didn't allow him much space, didn't allow him much time to, on the ball or to move the ball forward or to play his little intricate passes. We didn't allow Bruno Fernandes anyway. In fact, I forgot Bruno Fernandes was on the pitch, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. And, as I said, we just managed it really, really, really well, to the point where, like I said before, those Manchester United players were getting frustrated, they were getting angry, they were getting annoyed, they didn't want the fight, they didn't want the battle, because they were getting frustrated at the fact that they couldn't break down a team that, as I said, in fact all of the Premier League teams had managed to break down this season. They couldn't get past us, they couldn't break us down, and I've just remembered we got a clean sheet on Saturday, which is even fucking better. Here's me sitting here bouncing about the win, completely forgetting that it was a clean sheet as well, which is just amazing, absolutely amazing. When was the last time we got one of them? But yeah, as I said, Newcastle it would have been a couple of weeks ago, not that long ago ironically, but as I said, the management of the game was fantastic. I think Fabian Delph in that midfield was brilliant. I think Alan in that midfield next to him again has gone under the radar a little bit because of Fabian Delph's performance and Alex Iwobi's performance, but Alan was spot on, absolutely spot on, never put a foot wrong, was battling, was throwing himself in to challenges, winning the ball, moving it forward, his work rate, his desire was there. But two players I want to specifically talk about and highlight are the fullbacks, Vitaly Mikhailenko and Seamus Coleman. Now, I haven't got Seamus Coleman's stats because I just haven't got them to hand, but I have got Vitaly Mikhailenko stats, and I want to go through them because I think it's important to really, really highlight how impressive that performance was from Vitaly Mikhailenko. because it was absolutely unbelievable. So this is Vitaly Mikhailenko versus Manchester United. You might have seen these stats on social media. If you're on Twitter, you probably have. If you follow us on Twitter, then you will have. But he made 3 tackles. He had 2 take-ons completed, 2 interceptions, 2 crosses, one chance created. He had no dribbled pass, so he wasn't dribbled past once. No fouls committed, so he didn't commit a foul. He had a 100% take-on success, so every time he went to take on a Man United player, he was successful. He had 100% tackle success. He had 6 ball recoveries. He had 6 passes into the final third. He had 5 duels won, and he had 4 clearances. Now, to some people, that might just sound like a load of gibberish and a load of words, but if you're into your stats and you're into your breakdowns of footballs and your tactical analysis and all of that, then big up Matt on Twitter, by the way, tactical analysis. But if you actually read into that, I don't think it can compute how good of a performance that was. Now, this is a lad that, against Burnley, was heavily criticised, and I don't think has been heavily criticised since joining Everton, but has certainly been the topic of conversation of, is he good enough? And I think we all know what's going on in his personal life, and again, as I said, I think it's important to also understand that he's in a new country, learning a new language. He's come into a team that are in a desperate situation. He's not really had time to settle. He's not really had time to bed in. He's just been thrown straight into the deep end. And his performance on Saturday, for me, felt like that could be the performance that we look back on in years to come and say that was the game that he really, sort of instilled himself into being an Everton left-back. We had games in which we look back on, Leighton Baines doing that, Seamus Coleman doing that, but it just felt like such a breakthrough performance by Vitaly Mikhailenko, and I think his reaction after the game, the video of him smashing the floor with Alex Iwobi, and it does look like he's setting up for an RKO, to be fair. It really, really does look like he's setting up for an RKO, but I just think that emotion and that sheer passion and energy shown from him just shows how much this football club means to him already. He's been very open on social media about, what the football club and people around the football club are doing for this situation back at home. Donny van der Beek, I think one of the stewards, has come up to him on Saturday and donated some money as well. And he's been very open with fans as well. He speaks to a lot of fans on Instagram and stuff about the situation, and about how he's feeling at the football club at the moment. But his performance on Saturday was brilliant. It wasn't just a decent performance. He's had decent performances since he's been here. He's had performances that you look at and go, he wasn't too bad today, he was alright. But Saturday, for me, I thought he was a 10 out of 10. And I know a lot of people give Delph man of the match and Iwobi man of the match. And if I'm being honest with you, I can't complain about that. I can't have anything really wrong to say about that, because I think Delph was brilliant. I think Iwobi was brilliant. But Mikhailenko on Saturday, for me, was, and pardon me language here, and if there's any kids watching, then cover your ears for a second, but he was absolutely fucking immense. He was immense. Bearing in mind, he was having to defend against Cristiano Ronaldo, Marcus Rashford, Anthony Elanga, who's a bright young player who come on, Paul Pogba, Bruno Fernandes, players that, if you look at on paper, are some of the best in world football, some of the most talented in world football. And yet, he didn't just put a decent shift in, he dealt with it at ease. I thought he was absolutely fantastic, and as I said, for what he's going through at the minute, and also for, I think, his performance against Burnley, which was heavily criticised for his positioning and his movement and this, that and the other, I think Saturday was just immense. And Seamus Coleman on the other side as well proved that when managed well, and listen, I'm not blaming Frank Lampard for this, because we signed the right back who has just picked up an injury that will keep him out for the rest of the season, despite never playing a game in the Premier League for Everton, which I do partly blame Lampard for, because I think we should have seen Nathan Patterson by now, but there you go. And John Joe Kenny's also shite. So I don't necessarily blame Frank Lampard for the mismanagement of Seamus Coleman. I blame Everton Football Club and Everton's recruitment for the gross mismanagement of Seamus Coleman. But Seamus proved that when you manage him well, i.e. not play him 3-4 times a week or every week, play him once every 3 or 4 games, he can still give you that performance that is good enough to be a stalwart in winning a game of football. And defensively, I thought he was brilliant. His effort, his desire, his commitment, he seemed on it. He seemed fresh. He seemed ready. He seemed like he wanted to work hard. He seemed like he wanted to battle. His passion, his desire was there, his energy. And as I said, I still think Seamus Coleman has got oil left in the tank. It's a coin, an old saying in his Everton career. I just don't think it can be week in, week out. But I think Seamus Coleman playing every 3 or 4 games, I'd have no problem with, because he showed again on Saturday that when he does that, and obviously he's been out injured and there's been a bit of a break, that he can actually put a performance in, and he did. He was brilliant. But as I said, Vitaly Mikhailenko for me just really stood out, because Iwobi was unbelievable. Iwobi was immense. His effort, his desire, his commitment, his off-the-ball work rate was unbelievable. Delph would put in a professional performance, which we desperately needed in the middle of the park. But I just think Mikhailenko, for what he's going through, and for the fact that it was such an unbelievable performance for me, I just think he was brilliant. And as I said, the whole thing of the second half for me was never about going and getting a second and third, although Richarlison was absolutely fantastic. His work rate, his desire, his battle, his little keepy ups with the head were just unbelievable. And Anthony Gordon still worked hard and was brilliant. And obviously Jamari Gray come on, worked hard. Zakori come on, worked hard. Alan was brilliant, as I said. I just think that performance in the second half was all about managing the game and maintaining the lead, and not giving anything silly away. And that might seem easy, you 1-0 up, stick a load of men behind the ball and just keep the lead. But that we all know that is that's difficult for Everton to do. Whereas we did it, and we did it really well on Saturday. And I think a lot of that is down to the back line, how well the back line, as I said, Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey, who were fantastic, managed it. Jordan Pickford, who was absolutely unbelievable, and the 2 fullbacks. And yeah, as I said, the game goes on. The longer and longer the second half goes on, the more and more frustrated Manchester United are getting. Cristiano Ronaldo is crying for everything and trying to have a go at ball boys. And as I said, we're just maintaining it. We're having a couple of opportunities here and there ourselves. Man United are sort of getting forward and trying to create, but we're dealing with most of it really well. There was a couple of heart in your arse moments, or arse in your heart, whatever the saying is, moments. But again, as I said, we managed them. And as I said, in that final 10-15 minutes, I think they really just started to get pissed off. They just started to get frustrated. We managed the game well. We were time wasting when we needed to. We were winning fouls in positions we needed to. We just looked like, right, okay, we need to see this game out now, so let's see it out, rather than, shit, we're 1-0 up in a game we need to win. What the fuck do we do here? And as I said, Ronaldo has that chance towards the end of the game. Jordan Pickford makes an absolutely game-winning save, because he is one of the best goalkeepers on the planet. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, and if you disagree, you do not understand football. It's as simple as that. And yeah, we win the game. The final whistle goes. The roar from Goodison is immense. The reaction from Iwobi and Mikhailenko and Richarlison and Anthony Gordon, all of these players, just shows the commitment and the desire that these players can have for this football club when they desperately want it. That's just got to be shown every single week now. And pardon me, sorry. Oh, hang on, got a bit of a runny nose because I've got a cold. But yeah, as I said, it was a much needed win. Cristiano Ronaldo storms off and decides to smack a phone out of a young child's hand for no reason other than being a spoiled brat. Not the child, obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo. And yeah, as I said, we win a game of football that is just absolutely monumental. And as I said, we need to go and make it 2 now against Leicester. And if we can do that, then I think we'll all be much more confident that we'll be okay this season. But it's all about Leicester now. That game's in the same ways that we sat here on Thursday and said Burnley's done, let's focus on United. We now have to sit here and say United's done, let's focus on Leicester in a week's time. But as I said, if I'm Frank Lampard, for players like Michael Keane and Ben Godfrey who might have been struggling for confidence before Saturday, or Mikhailenko who might have been struggling for confidence before Saturday, and they are, I don't care what anybody says, no one can sit around and say, well, maybe they weren't struggling for confidence. They absolutely fucking were. You could see it. I'd be saying to these players, look at how good you were, look at this stat, look at that stat, look at how good you were against Ronaldo, etc., and just building the confidence up, because there's a fine line between confidence and cockiness, and it's important that these players don't pass that line. But I think the majority of this squad won't. I think they just need to get to that confidence level. And Saturday was great, and it was an unbelievable performance. And hopefully now we can build on it, because we sat here and said that after Leeds, we sat here and said that after Newcastle, not so much Newcastle being an unbelievable performance, but more so being a great result, and after both of those games we were unable to capitalise on that and ultimately go and make it 2 on the bounce, whereas with this one we absolutely have to, because time's running out and we can't afford to not make it 2 on the bounce. But what a win, what a performance, what a result. Get in. Let's get into some of the live comments before we finish up. If you are enjoying, by the way, hit the like button. As I said, only a few subscribers away from 6.5k now, so if you could hit that subscribe button, it would mean a great deal to me. Top Tash, that says, Daniel, nice one, my mate. I've actually got a bit of a beard going on here. I do need to shave, but I can't be arsed, to be honest. Jack the Lad says, Benitez must have knew we were getting a new stadium. See what he's doing with the Bernabeu. He'll only get better, says James. I'm not too sure who we're talking about there. Mozzie says, alright, Cam, better late than never. What a performance. Reckon that level will keep us up. Think we'll beat Leicester next week. I hope so. That level will. If we perform at that level, then I think we'll be okay, both away from home and at home, but it's whether we can perform at that level consistently. James says, think Mikhailenko had big boots to fill, replacing Dean, who's our best left-back since Baines. In my opinion, he gets a consistent set of games under his belt. He was great, mate. He was great, and you're right. You're right. Goodison Gang says, got the goal on my video on my matchday vlog. Class is right, mate. Go and check that out. If you haven't already, go and check out Goodison Gang's matchday vlog. 250k a week, we couldn't afford it, says Peter. Jack the Lad says, Cam, lad, we need to re-sign Hammers in the summer. We should have got a contract in place. I don't think he'd come back. I know James has said, "Oh yeah, I'd love to come back. I'd love to play for Everton again," but I think he's just sort of sweetening the maybe the fans at the minute. I don't actually think he'd come back. And as I said, on his wages, we financially can't afford James Rodriguez to return to Everton, given the situation that we're in. So yeah, I don't think we'll see him in an Everton shirt ever again. Certainly not playing for Everton. And Everton fan says, hi Cam, what's happening, mate? Vita says, not attached, it's the lesser spotted, the red cat. It's not red, mate. I've not got a ginger moustache. Not got a ginger moustache. Bloody hell, it's getting a bit mad this live stream now. These paracetamol are going to my head. Where you being, Cam? Thought work rate was going to be mad because of the result. Well, listen, I've done the instant match reaction, we've done the player ratings, and I've had a chest infection, so I've been bedbound for the last 24 hours. But here we are. It's only Tuesday. The game is only on Saturday. It's Tuesday. We'll do another stream tomorrow, the next day. Come on, mate. Come on. Teen Hammers is saying it on Instagram. Look, the beast. Says Jack, I haven't. Fat Wallet says, imagine we get a win at Anfield. That would be a fantastic to help us. Listen, I'd take a point there. I'm not really asked about their situation. I just want Everton to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, I'd love a win, because more so that it would help Everton stay in the league, more so than anything else. I was shocked at how United played. They're so far from, they are. Neville was the best keeper on the planet. He was something special. A lot of people I speak to say Neville Southall was the best goalkeeper of all time. Yeah, Ant Leicester fan channel's in here. What's happening, my mate? He says, we will have played 3 games since you played United. There you go as well. So that, listen, again, a lot of people will say, oh, that benefits Everton. That's an easy benefit for Everton. It depends. If you win all of those 3 games, then your confidence will be up and you'll be in the flow of things and the momentum will be there and stuff like that. So, it's very easy to say that is a benefit to Everton. And it is in the sense of fitness and sharpness and stuff, and we'll have had a break. But sometimes those breaks aren't necessarily helpful. Sometimes those breaks can be more detrimental than helpful, especially against a team that's playing more consistently, and if they're winning more consistently, then it's much more difficult. But again, if you don't win all of those 3 games and you maybe have a little bit of a bad run, then yes, it will. It will. Yeah, there you go. Look, we are going to finish it there then. If you have enjoyed this one, please do hit that like button. It does only take a second. Massive thank you to everybody for watching. I really, really do appreciate all of your support. As I said, if you are new to the channel, please do subscribe. It only takes a second, and we are close to 6.5k now, so it would mean a massive amount to me. If you watched in the live comments, really, really do appreciate it. If you have enjoyed it, please hit that like button. If you watched a YouTube video, leave your comments down below. Let us know what content you want to see over the next few days as well. Well, we've got a bit of a break before the Leicester game. And we'll get as many of those sorted as we possibly can as well. But anyway, massive thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed it, leave a like. Please do subscribe if you are new, and we will see you soon on the Mighty Blues. Cheers for watching. See you after.